Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And today I'll be reading a multi-character listener by me. So let's get into it. Scaramouche. Scaramouche had had his own pair of scars and many things that he didn't like people seeing. Insecurities, both physical and in many other ways. But as for you, he thought you were perfect, beautiful, inside and out. There was nothing for you to even think about doubting in his own opinion. That was how perfect you seemingly were. But he never knew that you had scars underneath, all that you hid from him. He had only walked in one day to see you still putting on your jacket, and he happened to witness a couple of scars on your arm. Wait a moment, Ryan. And suddenly, he felt self-conscious, blushing in embarrassment. You didn't want him to see, but you'd taken off the jacket either way, handing him your arm and watching as he looked at it in a keen way, his hands tracing over each scar. He had waited for something to come out of his mouth, maybe a way to hide it, maybe a question, or his disgust at such an unsightly thing on your arm. But instead, and ruining all of your expectations, he only leans down to kiss each single scar of them, looking at you with utter love and adoration in his eyes. I'm sorry you were hurt before, and I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, he said, and you almost wanted to cry. He was so gentle, so soft and so loving that you couldn't help but want more of this. You wanted more of that validation that you got from him. You were so scared at first, thinking he wouldn't like it, that he would be disgusted with you. But seeing as how he loved you, no matter what form or what was happening with you, you knew that his love held through, and that it was in his heart. His heart yearned for your own. It was never about looks or scara, and if anything, your scars only made you the more special to him. Venti. Venti had known that you had had a rough childhood, but you refused to say anything more than that. And he wasn't one to actually ask too many questions. You would tell him when you felt comfortable. He believed that much. But when you had accidentally had your sleeves raised enough that you could see a scar, it wasn't like you could wipe that away from his mind. He tried to ignore it at first, but then he couldn't help but take your arm into his own hands, startling you. What are you doing? Come on, Wayan. We're partners now. It's only fair that you show me. And you look guilty, ashamed, looking away as you let him look over your scars, telling him there were way more. If he found them disgusting, then he could leave, because you wouldn't be able to hear him say it. It would break you. But if anything, he only looked sad. He then kissed your scar and leaned up to kiss your lips. You're beautiful, Mayan. Scars or not, you're everything I've ever wanted, and more than that too. So please, don't mistreat yourself like that. Don't think you're not as beautiful as I see you, he says, and it makes you well up as you go into his arms, and he strokes your back gently, reassuring you of all the doubts you had, telling you that he loved you, that no matter what, he would always keep on loving you, and nothing in this entire world would ever be able to change his mind about that, no matter what happened. And seeing the way he was so ready to love you, scars and all, He knew it was no lie, and that made you relieved and happy, knowing that he'd be with you all the way. Xiao. Xiao was a sweetheart. That was all you knew about him. Maybe people wouldn't believe that, considering how rough he was on the outside, but he loved you in more ways than one, and though he was too shy to show it all the time, but it was obvious with him. And if anything, he knew that he had scars of his own, but that didn't help a lot when you looked at your own and felt disgusted with them. Xiao always looked beautiful in your eyes, with his scars, even more so than not. It felt like they told a lot about him, about the person that he was, determined, brave, and strong, willing to fight for others to protect them. But your scars, they reminded you of your weakness, and they only looked horrible on you. And most of the time we try hiding them, but it appears you had not done a good job of that, because Xiao saw them for the first time today. I didn't know you had this. It looks old, Ryan. Were you hiding it? You looked down in shame, not sure what to say. You shouldn't hide something like that from him. But you did anyway. And you didn't know what he would think. Hopefully he wouldn't comment on it. But worst case scenario, then he would. And before you could continue the sentence in your mind, he leans down, pressing a soft kiss to a scarred area of skin. I love you, Ayan. Please, don't feel insecure about your scars. I love them. They're part of you. They tell a story. They tell me about who you are, how you fought, how you were hurt, and yet you're still so kind. He says, always making you cry with his words. He was never good with words, that's what he said. But he had no idea how his words set your heart aflame and made it weep at the same time. And as you leaned in, pressing another soft kiss to another scar, you felt yourself tear up as you leaned into his arms, knowing that what he was saying was the truth. He loved you, and you would have that love of his unconditionally at all times.